Hey guys, I always say that Thursday is my favorite day of the week, and that's because it's our day where we do online Bible study. In the second week of January, we'll be launching that. Not quite yet this week, but it's coming, and so we're going to be putting a lot of announcements about it. So on Thursday nights, I teach live in our Facebook Live community. We'll put you the links and everything, but tonight is free still. We've got a week before we get back to normal. We always sort of ease into the semester, so to speak. I'm one of those people who went to school forever, and so I like to ease into every semester. But we're jumping right into the Power Minutes. Those are the daily devotionals. Hopefully you came for that. They're very brief, short devotionals that I wrote. They're reflections on verses, and they're meant to just guide our attention back to God's word, because I need God's word in order to live. His word sustains me, and I hope you find that to be true in your life. So today's Power Minute is called Building Altars. Our verse is Genesis 13:16. And there he built an altar to the Lord. That's talking about Abraham. You can learn a lot about a person by how that person responds to disappointment in life. In Genesis 13, Abraham gathers his nephew Lot and graciously gives him the pick of the land before they part ways. Abraham had invested his whole life into Lot. Perhaps he expected Lot to give his uncle Abe credit for his success by yielding the choice of the land to Abraham first. As far as we can tell, common courtesy never crossed Lot's mind. He merely looked around and chose the lush green land for himself, leaving Abraham, well, the desert. If I were Abraham, I might have felt disappointment in that moment. I might have worried about my future. But Abraham chose to listen to God's voice in his disappointment instead. Reassured by God's promises, Abraham resolved to rest in God's goodness. Then, by faith, he built an altar as a sign of his trust that his God would never ever disappoint him. Are there disappointments in your life that you need to reinterpret in the light of God's goodness to you? Are there places in your life where you need to build an altar of worship to the living God? Abraham made a pattern of doing that. He would learn a lesson, and then he would build an altar to just dedicate that moment to God and say, God, I see it. I see you. I see your goodness, and I'm going to trust you. God sometimes gave him a promise, or God just pointed away, and Abraham, by faith, received that promise. And so I want to live like Abraham this year. I want to embrace that which God has given me, even if it doesn't look like exactly what I wanted. And we know from the story of Lot and Abraham that the ending of Lot's story was horrible. And the ending of Abraham's story, well, we know, we're still talking about Abraham. He's a man that has stood the test of time by God's grace because of his faith. And so let us model our lives not after Lot, who chose for himself, but after Abraham, who built altars of worship to God. All right. Hey, if you want these in writing, check out livingwithpower.org/Power Minute. And if you want to leave a comment, tell me how your year's going so far. We're just 4 days into it, but what a great year it's going to be. And so I will be back tomorrow, Friday, to wrap up the week. In the meantime, praying for you. Have a great day. All right.